Hello, my name is Trevor Colman. I've been attending a number of action group meetings in and around Devon and Cornwall and Somerset lately to do with the post office closures. And I'd like to pass on to you some information and some advice as to how you can use that experience to combat the closures of the post offices in your area. When you attend the action group meetings, and you will find that I suggest that you do that, you will find that there are some experiences and things that are common to every meeting. First of all, you will discover when you go there that the local MP invariably turns up. He or she will make a rousing speech about the strength and quality of the community, but at the end of the day will say that there is nothing that they can do to stop the closure of the post office taking place. They will, however, suggest that they can lend their support and assistance to whatever action the local community takes, and they will emphasise the fact that it is the local community who have to fight this battle and prevent the closure. They will be assisted in their address by local district and county councillors who will support virtually every word that the MP says. You will also find that often, the county councillors will suggest vaguely that there is some money or some kind of financial assistance they can give to keep the post offices open. But when questioned closely, you will find their answers becoming more and more vague. And to date, anyway, I can report that there's been no positive suggestion that money can be found to keep any post offices open. In addition to all that, you won't be surprised to discover that no one will mention the European Union and the involvement of the two directives that really are responsible for the crisis we find ourselves in today. I'm going to suggest, if you can, that you do appear on the platform, or if you can't, that you speak from the floor and say your piece, details of which I shall give later on. Don't expect to be thanked for this initially, and you will probably meet some hostile opposition, particularly from the platform, certainly from the MP, and probably from the chairman who is running the meeting. But you will also find, surprisingly, that there is much support for what you say, and at the end of the meeting you will find people approaching you and telling you, in confidence perhaps, that they support what you say and understand fully that you've been telling the truth. The next thing you'll find common to the meetings that you attend are the actions that are discussed by the people of the village. The first thing that is invariably suggested by the Member of Parliament is that as many people in the village should write letters to the Post Office Limited complaining about the unfairness of the closure of their post office. Secondly, there will be a suggestion that petitions should be raised, and again, those petitions should be sent to Post Office Limited. There will also be discussion about the possibility of marches and demonstrations, as well as the formation of banners and posters, which many villages in the southwest have adopted. Finally, there will be talk of getting involved with the press and the media to support their cause. And at the end of the meeting, you will find that there will be a call for volunteers to form an action group committee, and invariably that group will be oversubscribed by people who are genuinely concerned about the intended loss to their community. What can you do as a member of UKIP now to assist these local communities and have as much impact as possible in trying to prevent the closures? Well, first of all, what can you do now, on this very day or tomorrow, before the full announcement of the closures is made? The first thing that we suggest is that in your branch you hold 1,000 of the leaflet bundles that we prepared to combat these closures. We can tell, by the way, very quickly whether or not a particular area has been leafleted because almost the next day we get a response. This particular campaign surely does touch a nerve. Make some inquiries in your particular district and your area and try and discover if you can suspect where a particular branch is going to close. If you do and you suspect that you might be right, don't wait for the list to be announced, just leaflet that area. We also suggest that you try and meet the local parish council as soon as possible. Tell them what we know. Tell them that we can assist them in their battle to oppose these closures. One final word on the sub-postmasters. They are in a very difficult position. Some of them wish to leave their post offices, others don't. We mustn't get involved in this. We're there to assist the local community. On the day that the announcement is made of the list of those post offices to be closed, and for Cornwall and Dorset that will be the 15th of July, on that very day we suggest you leaflet as many of those areas as possible so that the leaflets are with those local communities from day one. There are only 6 weeks in the consultation period, and you will find that passes very quickly. So please get in as quickly as possible and get those leaflets to those communities. We found that almost the day after we will get a result from them, and people will contact us asking for assistance, and then we will pass that information back to you. But I cannot stress too much that you cannot wait at all on this one. You must move as fast as possible. Secondly, again, on that day, if you haven't already done so, contact the local parish council and again try and make an informal approach to them so that you can sit down and discuss what we know about these closures. And also, in those early days, please, if an action group is formed, contact them and tell them what we can do to assist. All these things must be done as quickly as possible, and you will impress upon them that any action they wish to take must be taken early, or else it will be too late. This next section deals with what we suggest you should say and do at the meeting that you attend, the public meeting, which is called invariably by the village to promote their defence of their post office. We suggest you divide things up into 3 sections. First of all, what has happened in the past. And again, you'll need to be conversant with the details contained in our fact sheet, and you will find that if you follow that and research it, then that is all you need to worry about. It'll give you all the details you need to address the audience, and you can speak from it with some authority. Next, you need to say what is happening now and what will happen in the future. You can tell them again with some authority that there will be more closures. And again, if you look at the fact sheet, you'll find why we've said that. But in addition to that, and since we published the fact sheet, we've been told that not 2,500 post offices will close, but that 10,000 post offices will be closed. And we've been told this by Postwatch, the Consumers Association, which, by the way, will be closed down in October of this year. In addition, you can point out the fact that the subsidy that is now being paid to keep the Royal Mail afloat cannot continue indefinitely, and that this will finish probably at the latest in 2011. So you can say, again with some authority, that what we're looking at is not one simple programme of closures of 2,500, but we're looking at virtually the total shutdown of the post office in this country. So what real assistance or advice can we in UKIP give to these people who are so concerned, and quite rightly, about the loss of their post offices? Well, first of all, we must make the point that even though we support them in their local actions, they are really only addressing the symptom of the problem and not the cause. The cause of the problem, of course, is that from 1997 onwards, and increasingly since then, the post office has been privatised. And to do this, the 2 EU directives have had to be implemented. What this has meant is that the Royal Mail and its network of post offices has been asset stripped, and most of the lucrative and financially viable areas of the mail service have been taken over by the privatised companies, mainly the Dutch and German companies. So that the real problem here is that it is the privatisation of our mail service that has caused this present crisis. Adopting the various actions that I've told you about earlier on won't stop the privatisation process carrying on. And that will mean that at the end of the day, whenever that is, maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, all the post offices virtually will be gone. So what can we recommend that will stop that happening? Well, first of all, we would recommend that the local members of Parliament properly represent the views of their constituents. In other words, they must represent the fact that their constituents do not wish to lose their post offices. Secondly, they should take those views individually and collectively to the minister responsible for postal affairs and tell him what their constituents feel about this. Thirdly, they should recommend to the minister that we disregard the 2 EU directives that have brought about this crisis. And finally, they should say that all postal matters should be returned to a state monopoly exclusively run by the Royal Mail and its network of post offices. If this is adopted, what will happen is that we shall return again to the pre-1997 days, where we had a viable, profitable, self-funding and highly efficient service that was the envy of the world. Nothing else will work.